Hello, Mastertron Tamer here. I've got another soldering project for us to do. I've had some requests to do another one, asking kind of when I was going to do one, so now let's go ahead and we'll take a look at this little kit, and of course I'll have links for it in the description if you want to try and build one of these too. Right. Well, I should probably show you the box first. Soldering practice kit. Pretty generic, huh? Let's go ahead and open it up. So, the first thing is it looks like it has an AC adapter. We won't be needing to buy batteries. That's kind of nice. And everything else is in this little bag. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at that. First off, let's see what they've given us by way of instructions. So, make sure there wasn't another page. So we at least have a functional schematic here. A nice picture of the circuit boards. And then this side, this is pretty good assembly instructions, I think. This is kind of step by step how we want to put this together. So yeah, this is not bad. And I picked this one because it was a little bit fun and a fairly simple project. Let me show you why I think it's fairly simple for beginners. So here's the mechanical hardware, some standoff and screws, a little pair of tweezers, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. But let's look at the circuit boards first. So it's got, on this one, 3 surface mount components, and they're all pre-soldered on there. That's going to make that a little bit easier. This one doesn't have any components on it, and neither does this one. But we'll do a practice with surface mount components at some point. We'll work on that together. But like I said, I wanted one to be pretty simple, and it just looks like we have an LED and a couple of capacitors to put on there, up in one component here, probably a resistor. So on our instructions, they tell us which board is which, but it looks as if these two are pretty identical. So this says VT29, this one also says VT29. And let's see what it says. Okay, this is what they are calling the baseboard. It has most of the components, it says. And then B and C are where the ultrasonic sensors will go. Doesn't say that they're identical, but they look identical to me. Alright, so it says we recommend you start by installing the smaller, low-profile components. And that's kind of standard for anything you want to put together. And in fact, in their very first step here, they want us to put the LED on. Then a capacitor, another capacitor, finally a power supply component. There is a resistor as well. We don't have as good an illustration on when to put that on, but that's okay. And there is a ceramic disc capacitor as well. Now, let's look at the board. Let me get a little light on it. Yeah, everything is stenciled as to what goes where. This says DC 1. This is a 1K resistor. This is a 104 capacitor. The 4 is actually a multiplier. LED goes here, and the 2 other capacitors go here. So, next thing I need to do is get my soldering gear all set up, and we'll just go through these steps together and solder that. Okay, I'm back and ready to get going. So, let's start by putting the first components on the board. We have a little bag here of components, and we'll start with the first board. So these are the ultrasonic transducers. They're going to go on these boards. Here's our power supply connection. Here's our two 220 microfarad capacitors. Here is our smaller capacitor, our disc capacitor, our single resistor, and our LED. So I wanted to show you, you probably already know this, but it doesn't hurt to see it again. On an LED, one lead is longer than the other. That's typically what we're going to connect to positive. The circuit board should be marked, and it is. Let me put a little light on it that will help. All right. The electrolytic capacitors are also polarity sensitive, and again, the longer lead is the one we want to go to positive. The other way of knowing is the shorter lead actually has a little minus sign on it. So we want to make sure we get those right. Okay, so those are both good. And the rest of the components are not polarity sensitive, mainly because the DC plug will only go on one way, so you can't get that wrong. And the resistor can go either way, and this little ceramic capacitor can go either way. So again, long leads to plus, you should be okay. All right, so I think the thing we need to do next is get all set up to solder these. I'm going to be turning on my exhaust fan to get rid of the fumes. So that's going to be a little bit noisy. So I won't be talking to you through that part, but I just wanted to show you the polarity on those components, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now we've got all the parts soldered on there. That looked good. And just to kind of as a refresher, remember we put the iron on one side, solder comes from the other. Make sure the iron is connecting both the component metal and the metal of the circuit board. And then hold it for a couple of seconds, pull the iron off, let it solidify. Alright, so that's taking care of those components. I wanted to stop for a second because the next thing is to put on the ultrasonic transducers. We need to make sure we get the polarity right here too. Now, I'm hoping you can see this, but on one side there's a circle around the pin, and on the other side there is not. And that, I'm pretty sure, is trying to signify something. Let's look at the instructions. Yes, so the circle is the positive lead. So we want to put that to match to the positive on the circuit board. And it goes through with the side with the outline of it, like that. So again, the one with the circle to the positive. And we're going to do the same thing here, because I think these two parts are identical. Alright, let me turn my fan back on and we'll get going. Okay, so that takes care of all the soldering. I'm going to go ahead and turn my iron off. I think the rest is going to be assembly. Now, one tool that I did not grab that I think I need, yes, is a small Phillips screwdriver. So let's go ahead, open this up. And we might even need a little pair of pliers for putting this together. So if you can see this, we've got a 12 millimeter section, a 17 and a 17 and another 12 is how this all goes together. So we have two different lengths. Let's start by separating them. They don't want to separate, but we can do that. Oh, okay, so that's the shorter one. That's the longer one. Longer one, shorter one. So we have two of those, or three of those. And then we've got some very short ones. Those are 5s. So, I'm a little concerned because if I'm reading the instructions correctly, there's the other one. I missorted them. All right, so that's what we should have. Now, when assembling these, the socketed end, or the nut size where the screw's going to go in, that's going to be right there on top. It says to start with a 12. And then put two 17s on it. And you see this T here on this. We're going to use that to know what side goes to what. So the T is going to go through like this. On the other side, goes a 17. All right, let's go ahead and build the rest. Alright, so this is a polarity sensitive device like we talked about before, so we're going to need to be careful to align the T with where we want it to go. So let me take a look at this with my light. Okay, so we have an index we can use. On the instructions, it shows us the power plug right here. So they have it aligned like this with the power plug here, and this is either a voltage regulator or a driver, this U3. They show that right there, and then they show the T going to that side. There's our T. Just like that. And then these little guys are going to act like nuts. I'm pretty sure. Oh, you know, I skipped a step. I can see that now. before we put that together, we need to put these guys in the other holes, because we're not going to be able to get to them after it's assembled. Okay. All right. Actually, I've got that finger tight. Now that I've got that, according to our instructions, the two T's align with each other. So this T is going to go like that, and we are also going to have a screw on the top of that. Let me see if I can tighten that. I'll have to undo it here. Yeah, I can get that reasonably tight. All right, let's do the other one. All right, again, T to T. Then we put on the 12 millimeter spacers. It's giving me a little trouble on that one, like it's stripping out a bit. So I'm actually going to switch one of these. Okay, T to T. I think we need to be a little careful. These are just brass. So finger tight might be the order of the day. Okay, then if we go back and look at our diagram, we want the power plug oriented like that, and T goes here. These are a bit small to manage. There's that one. And I think these are going to act like feet. So they need to be as tight as you can get them with your fingers. I'm really leery about using any other tools. So what's going to happen is this is going to be our connection to the two sensors, or the two transducers. So they're both the support and they carry the power to the upper one and to the lower one. And then it goes like that. All right. I think we have got it to what we want. So there is no power switch that I can see. So this should turn it on. There, I look kind of funny with that light there. All right, let's plug it in. So, hopefully you can see this red LED. The reason for that is these are ultrasonic transducers. You can't hear them. If they're working properly, they should be producing sound, but we can't hear it. And now for the fun part. Let's see if we can get this to work the way it's supposed to. Some very lightweight polystyrene balls, a whole bag of them. And we are supposed to be able to take them well, let me take that one off. Let me try another one. One of the problems is the tool that they have given us is plastic and it has a little bit of a static charge on it. Well, there you go. It is hanging in midair. Now, why is it doing that? And let me get you a better picture of that. I kept my other camera here just for this event so that we could get you a close-up of that, because I don't think the other one's going to work. Let's turn this on. And maybe put this camera here. Let me see the distance. Yeah, let me put the camera right there. What I want to do is get that polystyrene bead. Not getting the focus I want. I might be too close. That's better, I think. Okay, now you can see it, I think, much better. Got kind of my hand and stuff in the background, but I think you're getting a nice close-up of it just kind of hanging there in the air. So how is it doing that? How is it hanging like that? Obviously, there's still gravity. Gravity is not just a good idea. Gravity is the law. So there must be some reason that it's hanging there. Let's try if we can get even another one in there. There's another one. Let me try. That didn't work as good. Let's try it up here. There we go. Now we got three. You're supposed to be able to get even more, but I think that's plenty for our demonstration. So what's going on there? Why is this working? Well, we have two electronic transducers. Think of them like speakers, just working at a much higher frequency. And there are invisible ultrasonic waves going between these two devices. So there is a real force acting on the polystyrene beads. And it's actually what's pushing them up. And I think that if we could see those waveforms, they would be intersecting right where these beads are hanging. Because we've got one coming from the top and we've got one coming from the bottom. So anyways, super cool. As always, I'll put a link in the description if you want to try and do this on your own. And I hope you learned a little something, both about soldering and about physics and what the power of sound can do. Sound is actually pushing those beads up and fighting against gravity to hold them in the air like that. Super neat. So, if you have any comments, please leave those. If you have any questions about how it worked or anything, suggestions about other projects, I'm doing this project because I had already been asked by people to say, could I do some more about soldering? So that's why we're doing this one. So don't forget to subscribe. Please like. That helps. Comments, like I mentioned, you can leave one if you have a question or just if you want to say hi. That's fine too. Nice comments make my day. And, don't forget the little bell if you want to be notified when I drop the next video. So until next time, I'll see you in our next video.